Hello, everybody.
So,
Welcome again to another webinar. Today we have Wallace Ferreira, who has so in such a great opportunity for us to learn from him about the Streamlit app. So we're really happy, really excited to have this quick introduction about Streamlit with Wallace. Thank you so much, Wallace.
thanks, Laura. Good day, everyone. So it's a pleasure to be here. So can you hear me? Okay, can you see me?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So uh, I have a mechanical engineering background. So I spent some years in the industry and also as professor in for engineering college here in Brazil, right? But always I've been involved in some way with software for engineers for both practical application and academy, right? So in the last 3 to 5 years, I start transitioning to the machine learning and data science field since my jobs and also my research is related to in some way to machine learning, right? So and then I've got passionate to this field, so it's every day is a different problem to solve. So uh, I like to be a problem solver, right? So it's fantastic to be involved with this community. So and also in the last 6 months, I I was introduced to Amdena, so it's a fantastic community for learning and developing this field of data science and machine learning, right? So it will be a quick introduction to Streamlit. So I'm not an expert, definitely. In the last 6 months, I was in a consulting job in a company, and the standard uh, at that company to use to create proof of concepts and presentation to managers and also uh, presentation to clients. So it was we used Streamlit to do that, right? And for definite applications, people at that company use Flask, right? That's what other powerful framework with Python to create front-end design, right? So uh, Streamlit is also powerful, but the advantage is that it's really quick to create web applications, to create dashboards, almost in pure Python, right? You don't need to be a UX or UI designer to create uh, first dashboards or first user interface for your codes in less than 2 or 3 hours, right? So it's really quick. It's really easy to use that, and I will try to show my experience here as a practitioner, right? And then it will be a basic introduction. So just to me to know your knowledge about that, please put in chat if you have no experience, basic experience, medium or advanced experience with Streamlit. Just to myself to know you better in terms of this field. So please put that in chat, and then I will see, and I will try to know you better. Okay, Laura. Anyone else? Please don't be shy, right? Okay, okay, nice. Pumesh, Juan, some experience. Medula, no cash, no experience. So this is it will be basic, right? It will be from baby steps, and then uh, we can discuss possibilities, and you can ask me details if I don't know the information. We can try to find that in the documentation, right? So that's the way it is. Okay, let's see. I'll try to share my screen now. 1 second. And I will start to present to you some examples of web apps I create or participate in order to you to see final results with that. And then we start to uh, try to do some live coding here, right? Okay. Can you see my screen? So this is the app, the web page for Streamlit. So streamlit.io, right? So in here, so Streamlit is a framework, right? So it's not exactly a library or a module or a package in Python. It's a framework. So in the sense, it has its own environment and its own rules and some specific commands, not pure Python, right? To create different applications. So you cannot use that, for instance, as you import NumPy in a notebook and start using. No, you have to create a specific steps, you follow specific steps to run it. It's easy, but it's not the same way you use other packages in Python, right? So if you want to install, so we just use pip to install, or whatever environment you use. You can use Anaconda as well. I use Anaconda, right? And then I will show you some examples here. So in this site, you can also sign up to the community. So they provide a community of users and developers. So Streamlit is open source, right? So also, once you have your app developed, you need to share it to the people, right? So first you developed in your local machine, and then once it's ready to publish, you need to use a cloud service to publish, or you can use AWS, you can use GCP, but all of them you have to pay, right? So Streamlit provide you some small environment to publish uh, the apps you create, right? So for free. So they have some restrictions, and also I think they have also paid service for that, right? So for basic apps with no profit use, I think you can use this for free, right? And also, it's there are other options, free or non-free, in the web that you can uh, deploy and publish your app once it's developed, right? So the sound is clear, my voice is clear, and also my accent is clear to you.
Yeah, super
Okay,
clear. Thank you.
okay. Let me know if you have some issues, right? So let's start. So I will show you one example. So this is Google Colab. There are some things in Portuguese here, so Laura can understand. Also, I think Juan can understand a few about that, but sorry, I don't have this in English. But I have other things in English, so I will try to translate to you. So this is a problem that I had to solve for that company as an experiment, right? So using operation research and uh, linear programming optimization to solve an experiment on the logistics problem, right? Uh, So I'm using here a command book. I think most of you are used to that. So I have the imports here. I have some input variables, right? And I have other set of input variables. And then I will have all the math here, all the definitions and all the constraints and math to solve this problem, right? And then I have some results. Okay, if I continue this, I think all of you will sleep and try to imagine uh, people or clients or managers that don't understand Python, that don't understand this math, uh, and I'll try to sell them uh, this idea or to present them this idea as a product, right? So this is not a product. This is an interface that Python developers can share each other and they try to understand, right? So we cannot show this. We need an interface uh, to show this in a better way. So I'm not a UX designer. I have no money to contract one. So, and I cannot wait 1 or 2 weeks to have an interface designed to show and to publish and to use and to present to clients, right? So that's the idea of Streamlit. You can, with few commands, few steps, in easy way, you can create an app like this, right? So uh, that's the same example for that notebook I presented to you uh, in the collab, right? So here I have the interface to show the results or to show the idea of the product or of the functionality I need to add to the product. So this is a problem, right? So try to imagine a marketplace and I want to sell different products to clients in an order, right? So I have product one, product two, and product three, and I have different quantities the client want to buy for this product, right? So I have a different set of suppliers with different number of parts or products in stock, right? Every product has its own price and the cost of handling and shipping for every product, right? So we have supplier one, supplier two, and also supplier three. So the machine learning problem here, the optimization problem here is how to find the lowest cost, the minimum cost to uh, create this order here and to sell to my client, right? So that's it's a classical logistic problem. So once I set all the variables here, right? Uh, then I have my setup, and then I have the distance for every supplier, right? And then I can calculate. So I have this optimization algorithm behind that. So it's all that in the previous notebooks. And then I hit calculate here, and the problem is solved. And I'm showing the breakdown for the result of the problem. I'm using tables and data frames to that, the breakdown of the solution. And also I can download this result as a CSV file for some reason that I want to be interested, right? So uh, can you see how it's easy and how is a more proper way to show our results, right? So that's the idea. And just an example, I spent one day, so 8 hours, right? So researching this problem, creating the algorithms and validating the algorithms uh, based on uh, some test results. And then in less than 2 or 3 hours, I created this interface using Streamlit, right? So it's quite easy to do that, especially if you use Python and you don't have any previous knowledge about creating front ends, right? So it's quite easy. So I will show another example to you, right? That I did for the study. So now I have more options here. I have this sidebar, right? So this is an analysis for healthcare industry in Brazil. So we have hospitals in all the cities and states in Brazil, and I have a huge data set for that available here in Brazil, right? So I need to show to my client uh, some dashboards, some graphs, some insights about uh, the uh, number of accommodations and beds in the hospitals, and how many of these accommodations are public or private, right? So then I can filter by year, by state in Brazil, and by city, and then I can select the hospital in that city, and then I can plot different values here using Plotly. So this graph using Plotly in Python. So let me try another one with more interesting results. So let me see. So this state and this, let me see here. Then we have different results. If I change the type of accommodation, right? So I have different graphs and I can show the results. I can filter the results in the data frame, right? To show for the people interested. So you can do that as well using other business intelligence products like Power BI, Tableau, etc. Right? But if you need to embed in the dashboards, in the graphs, in the process, different calculation, different machine learning models. So it's not that easy to do that using Power BI or Tableau. So you need to have a program language like Python or R, for instance, to create this calculation and embed in a single application, right? So let me show you an example here, right? So I can filter. I will try to do here a forecast for the demand of hospital procedures, right? And I will filter that, for example, by region here from Brazil and by the type of medical procedure. Then I can see the time series, the time evolution of the quantity of these products along the years, right? From 2008 to 2002, 22 here. So I change here. So this is easy to create these plots, right? And also I can, for instance, uh, run uh, a time series forecast model, a machine learning model behind that to try to forecast using this data, right? So let me try to do an example here to you. It will not be easy or quick like the other one. So it will run a machine learning model in the backend. So let me see here. So and then we hit simulate, and then the software we start simulating, creating the model on the back end. And as soon as this model is ready, I can the result will be plotted here, right? So we can do both ways. We can run the models on the fly, or we can have the models saved for that data that you have, and then you just load these models, and then you can plot the result for example, a neural network or another deep learning model. You can save the results and also load the results easily here in the app, right? While it's running, I will just show to you another example. Then you can back later here. Uh, I have this. This is my GitHub, and I have the link, right? So all of these are running local in my local machine. And as I said to you, we can publish this notebook or this dashboard in the web. Then it can be available uh, for anyone else, right? So I will put that in the chat. Then you can load if you want. So this is a previous Omdena project I participate, right? So they used Streamlit to create the final report and final dashboards for the project, right? So all the information here, uh, different plots and different results, dashboards, so you can create reports quickly, and you can embed, for instance, here dashboards from Power BI, Tableau, etc., right? As people did here, right? And also you can uh, provide any information with respect to that project. So as far as I know, many Omdena projects are using Streamlit to create the final reports and dashboards, right? So as I said, there are other options uh, out there, but I think it's the easiest one, right? So uh, we can try that. So let's see if the calculation is ready. So the calculation is ready here, right? So I have the model for time series forecast. So I try to predict the results for 2019, right? Uh, in red here, we have the forecast using ARIMA model for time series forecast. And in this green shade here is the uncertainty of 90%, 95% confidence level for the forecast, right? So just the detail for the time series forecast. So we can create dashboards and we can embed machine learning models using Python and via Streamlit, right? So uh, that's the overall. So in the Streamlit homepage, you can find uh, hundreds of examples, right? You can, and the community is very active. You can find this example on how to create many different dashboards. Also, the documentation is quite easy to follow, right? So that was the introduction. So uh, I can open here for a few questions if you have, right? And then we can move to live coding. So feel free to ask questions up to here.
Any questions, people, so far, or we move along? I guess
No
we move
question?
along.
Okay.
Yes, no questions.
Okay. So let's start. Once you have, uh, let me share again, right? So it's about 30 minutes, right? Yes, Laura?
Yes, correct. We should be finishing by in the next 34 minutes.
Okay, so it's good.
Thank you.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, all good.
Okay, so I will create an example here. So I create a folder for that, right? So I'm using Anaconda to manage my Python projects, right? And also I use VS Code. And now you create a Python file, not a notebook, a Python file, right? Uh, New file, so it's Python file. And now you save it. You can save it any name you want. It's common to use app since you are creating an app, right? Uh, and then I will open the documentation here. So you have docs, Streamlit docs, and it's quite easy to follow this documentation, right? So we have this API reference here with most of commands, and you have different categories of commands here, right? So let's try some example. So we have this command right under st, right? You understand right now. This write command, it's uh, almost like the print Python command, right? So let's do an example. And also, in every command that you find here in the documentation, you have different examples on how to use uh, the command, right? So basic, you have to open or import Streamlit as st, right? And then you can start using the command. So let's copy this, and then I will paste it here. So first of all, what I recommend, right? So you can find another way. I have a standard environment uh, for testing Streamlit apps, right? But when I have a big project or a complete separate project, I create an environment separately and also install Streamlit in this environment. So it's uh, useful because when you have to deploy your app, it's better if you have an environment with all the installs there. Then you can publish that in the GitHub and or in a Docker file or etc. And then you can send this uh, folder, for example, to Streamlit, right? So to in order to publish, in order to deploy the code. If you have a separate environment for that, it's easy to manage, right? So I separate different environments. In this example, I will use uh, the standard environment. So I will open here the prompt, right? So it's in base. So I use conda activate. So this is the environment I created before. And now you move to this folder here where the app is. So cd. So I'm here, right? I will use this later to run Streamlit. So I in the selected environment, right? So then once I have this app here, I will save that. So let me increase the font size, try to increase the font size. It's good to you to see.
For me, it is. I don't know the rest, but I'm on a computer, so.
Oh, okay. So then I just printing hello world, right? So how to run that? So I have this app.py and I
Wallace,
have to,
oh, sorry.
okay,
Juan is saying if you can increase it just one more bit, please.
let me,
You can hit Control Plus, he says.
Control plus, yeah. Press
Control
control and
plus.
press,
Okay.
yeah, like in a, there you go.
Put like that?
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. So I import Streamlit and you're only using the write command here, right? So it's saved, and then I will in the same folder, Streamlit, run the name of the file, app.py. Uh, for most computers, for most installations, it will be enough, right? So in my installation here, I have to use minus minus server dot port and then the name of the port, right? The number of the port, 8501. So this port is a standard port that Streamlit used to show the results in the browser, right? So we can manage different ports, so uh, based on your firewall, etc. And you also can publish your app using your own machine. So, right, but I will not go through that right now. So we just hit this, and then the app will be load here, right? So this is the print here. And the good thing is, every time you save your code, it will be uh, automatically updated here, right? So if you write something wrong, for example, here, uh, I can rerun or always rerun. So the error will be printed here. So then you can do the. So I hit the command wrongly here. So I will just correct and Control S to save. And then it will be okay again, right? So you can also use that to print variables. If you have a variable, a list, an int, string, you can also use st.write and print the content of that variable there, right? So as in this example here, right? Just copy and then I paste here. So in this first example, printing an integer, right? And then it's printing here a pandas data frame. So I have to import pandas here, Control S, and then the result will be here, right? So it's looks like the print command, okay? Also, let's navigate through the commands. For example, you have other options to create texts, right? So you can use Markdown. So standard Markdown used, for example, in GitHub or in Python notebooks, right? You can, for example, Streamlit dot Markdown. Let's start coding this. For example, Control S. Let's see the result. The result is already here, right? So you can, for example, ST Markdown, and you can put here, for example, a header. So Streamlit. And then we have this. And if you add one more hashtag, you change the size of the font. So you can you can create text using this markdown command, or you can use write as well. And then we have other options. So to create headers, subheaders, captions, everything easy like that. A lot of examples and easy to use, right? So you can play yourselves with that. One cool example here. So we can write codes to demonstrate something here. For instance, right? Uh, if you want to display some code, use streamlit.code, and a string will be printed as code in a set of languages. So in this case, Python, for instance, right? Control S. So I will put here title for that, just for sake of organization. So st.markdown on 1, 2, 3. So code Control S. Let's see. So it's here. So you can see how easy it is, right? So if I would like to add uh, a plot, right? You can have, for example, chart elements here. Let's see this pyplot. So this pyplot, we use pyplot from matplotlib example. So let's get some example here. I have to import matplotlib and also numpy here. Let me copy that. I will put here just for sake of organization. And also, I'm creating here a list of random numbers, creating plots with matplotlib, right? And then I'm creating a histogram with this set of numbers, array of numbers. And then with Streamlit pyplot, I just put the fig created by matplotlib, right? Control S. Let's see, st.markdown. And 3. And then it will be here, right? So simple like that. Questions up to now? The speed is good, it's too slow, too fast.
Super clear so far. Thank you, Wallace.
Okay, okay. So let's see another example. You can also use plotly chart, right? And also you have the codes, example codes, and also you have full documentation here in every parameter you want to use, and you have to modify. Most part of the time, I use only basic setup. I don't have to change many things here in most part of the cases, right? So you can create different and fancy plots like this one using Plotly, right? You have to install Plotly, of course, and also Plotly Express. You can create different plots. One thing here, right? The good with Plotly is that the plots are interactive, so we have different functions here. So I think Plotly is more powerful than Matplotlib in this sense to create interactive plots, and you have this option as well. One thing that is nice, for example, let me go back to this example here, right? I create different suppliers in a sequence here, right? So it's not a good design for showing this information. For example, I can use, it works, but I could use, for example, different tabs here to show different suppliers, right? So that's what we can do with this Streamlit tab, right? You can create different tabs, and then you put the list with the titles of the tabs, right? And with table 1, you do something. With table 2, you do something else. And then you have in the same page here different tabs to show different things, right? So it's quite easy. It's quite is wonderful to use Streamlit, right? So we can spend the whole day here just playing with this good example. Let's see if we can uh, reproduce this easily here. Let me show that here, and we put e dot markdown. Let's paste it here. I don't need this. I don't need this here. Import here. So let's here the plot is being created, right? Using Plotly Express. And in here, every plot is plotted in its respective tabs, right? So just Control S here to try, and let's see the results, right? So it's working. Then you can change the graphics content as you wish, right? That's how I do everything. As I said to you, I'm a practitioner of Streamlit, and I'm not a professor of Streamlit. So the idea is to show to you how easy it is to use Streamlit without any help aside the documentation, right? So it's quite easy. Let's see another. I will put this Python file for you in the channel later, right? So uh, let's see another example here. Uh, Input widgets, right? You can use buttons as I used here. For instance, you create a button, right? And uh, and then what you have to pass, you have to pass the title of the button, right? And the button will return a Boolean value if the button is hit or not, right? So you can put in a if condition testing. If this button is hit, write that. Else, that, right? So you have the example here. If I hit, why, hello, there. So that's way it function, right? So easy like that. For example, you can have checkboxes here with example, and then the output is here, right? So we have the result. If agree is true, just print great, right? and different options of input uh, commands, like this one, multi-select, right? You have different options here that you can select and then do something. So we have the options, and then if you select that option, print the option selected, right? So you can play with different options, and you have nothing to program to use the dashboard interface, right? So if you want to program, so that's options to create programs, to create components, different components. So since Streamlit is open source, right? But it's I think it's for advanced users, or if you want to do something really different, really creative, that's not is already done by someone else, right? So that's the idea of Streamlit, right? So what I can uh, do if you want, right? So if it's easy for this project, I know we have UX designers here, front-end designers here in the group, right? So for sure we have other powerful or fancy solutions for creating this front end. So it's up to the team to decide what is the best solution we will follow for this project, right? This is one option. Uh, and uh, I can create for you, I can show how it works, right? So let me show this, no, this one, or this one, or how we can create this sidebar here with different options, right? And I use the same solution here, right? I can create a template, right? Similar to that using the sidebar, and then share to the group later this week or next week. Uh, and then we can start using that for the project, right? So, but it's up to you.
That would
Let
be amazing, Wallace. Yeah, thank you. A template would be
Okay,
great. Great
okay.
idea.
So let me show to you the structure of this kind of template. Let me show here, right? So in this case, we have more structure, right? So we have the main up here. We have some config files that are optional, right? And I separate things in different folders, right? For sake of organization, right? So in the different pages that appear here are separated in this folder. Then I have different uh, files, different Python file here, and let's see how it looks like. Let me open this folder. So this is where this here, right? So I have, let me close everything here. This is the main file, right? So we have a lot of things going on here, but the detail here that we have to use these other components. So it's not uh, Streamlit, but it's a component created using Streamlit. As I said to you before, if you want to create something different, right, you have to create your components uh, based on Streamlit. So this is a component already created, so it's not mine. And then you load this option menu that is responsible to create these options here, right? And then in here, I'm importing all the pages that are load when I hit and I select the menus options, right? So there are a lot of things going on here, right? So here I load the image, I create the icons, right, to the sidebar and the options in the sidebar here, right? So and then if the options is select, I run the function in every page file. So we have this hospitais.run. So this is the option. Let me see here. Page files, hospitais.run. So this is the option. When I hit that, I select that option. So I have this function, a lot of functions here, right? For my applications, and I have a functions called run. It's optional, right? I just organized it like that. You can do whatever you want here, right? So I have many functions here, and then I have this function run that I call this in the main file using the menu, right? So you can create different things here. One thing uh, interesting here is that Streamlit provides this decorator, uh, streamlit.cache. If you are using big files, data frames to load, right? Uh, with this function here, Streamlit you will load this data uh, to the cache, and it will do only once. Then your application you'll be faster, right? So it's not required to do that every time, but if you are handling big files as here, it will be it will make difference in the speed of your code, right? So what I can do, I can create a basic template for with that this structure here, right, for the project, and then if you like, it's good to create the report using this template. And just change it and evolve from that, right? That's it. So uh, that's what I planned for this introduction section. Uh, is my first live workshop with programming in English as well. So I think it was uh, the best I could do. So hopefully it's useful for you, right? So I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Wallace. It was very, very clear, very well explained. So thank you so much for your time. Now we have 5 minutes for questions. So who wants to start?
Feel free, don't be shy. And also, if I don't know, I will say I don't know.
Okay, Juan is asking how to deploy it.
Okay, so I will provide you a tutorial on that. Is that easy? Uh, easy is straightforward, not that easy, right? You have to create an environment. You have to publish this environment in GitHub. And also you have to follow some steps using, for example, Streamlit Cloud, right? For other AWS, Google, or other cloud provider, I don't know the process, right? But it's similar like that. You have to create a GitHub or something else similar, or a Docker, right? And then you can deploy it. That's the idea. But I will provide you a tutorial uh, in the channel. Then we can follow this. Most part of the times, I don't have to deploy it, right? So I show that for clients or managers. but and sometimes the component has the structure to deploy it. And I don't have to do that by myself, but I think it's easy, right? Oh, Shukuri. I can try, but I don't think it will be necessary. So we have a video tutorial for that, for deploying, right? So if it's not straightforward, we can try to do an example and then reproduce that in a tutorial, in a workshop like that, right? Is that okay for you, Shukuri? And one, how to bind our UI element to a variable and trigger a function to calculate, right? So let's see an example. If you have, for example, you can, let's see, text, Streamlit, button, slider, for example, slider, right? Let me share my screen quickly. We have here the slider as I used in my example. So the value returned by the slider is the option, for example. You can store the result in a variable, and you can use this variable in whatever you want. So here we have the value of the slider. So how old are you, right? So you can put that in a text or you can put that in a slider. So I change here, and then uh, it is automatic in this case. So I'm 31 years old. So the variable here is being output here. I answered your question, Juan. And then you can use also input text. Let's see, text input here, right? You can create a box, and then you can uh, then we hit enter. Then this variable is passed to the program. You can use that inside your calculations, right? Or you can store this value in a data frame, right? So it's easy like that. Any other questions? Hey, Jishnu, thanks. Heroku is one source of deployment, right? So a few months ago, it's not free anymore. That's the problem. You can deploy it in Heroku, but it's not free. And most people are moving to Streamlit Cloud because of that, right? But you can also use Heroku as well. No free trial. Okay, yes, that's it. You have to pay to use Heroku Cloud. Any other questions? Frau Laura?
I'm here. Well, if there are no more questions, then I will call it for a day. Thank you so much again, Wallace, for your time and such clear explanations. I'm looking forward to the materials that you will share. I'm pretty sure everybody else will as well. And then we continue to brainstorm how we can use this application with our project. That'll be excellent.
Yes. Okay, so thank you very much for the opportunity.
No,
And also count on me if I can help. right?
Exactly. No, I'm pretty sure you can share lots more with us.
And I will post the documents and then template later this week in the channel.
That sounds
right?
excellent.
And also in the notebook, right? Okay.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Wallace. And thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
everybody, for joining.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you all.